Meghan found herself left blindside, literally and figuratively. Reports suggest it was Prince William, not King Charles, who made the final, quiet move to sever her last remaining ties with the royal family. The decision came as a shock, deliberate and calculated action that underscored just how much power the heir to the throne wields behind closed doors. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that William's actions were part of a broader strategy to distance Meghan from the royal fold. Critics argue this move was motivated by a desire to protect the monarchy's image and reduce any potential fallout from her private life. Supporters, on the other hand, would say it reflects a pragmatic decision aimed at maintaining the stability of the institution. The suddenness of the cut left many questioning the inner workings of the royal family. Was this a sign of growing tension between William and his younger brother, Prince Harry? Or was it simply a calculated move to ensure Meghan's future did not jeopardize the monarchy's public image? As we peel back the layers, one thing is clear: behind every decision lies a complex web of interests and strategies. You decide, what does this reveal about the current state of the royal family, and where does it leave Meghan? As the dust settles on another royal scandal, whispers are swirling that Meghan Markle found herself blindsided by a sudden, dramatic turn of events. Reports suggest Prince William has taken decisive action to sever his sister's last remaining ties with the royal family. According to royal watchers, this move comes as a surprise even to those closely following the Sussexes' tumultuous journey. Critics argue that such a drastic step underscores the deepening rift between Harry and Meghan and their royal family. Supporters of the monarchy might see it as a necessary measure to preserve the institution's integrity and stability. But for Meghan, this could be yet another chapter in her ongoing struggle to find a place in the spotlight. As we delve deeper into these developments, will you join us on this journey? Your support means everything. Subscribe now to stay ahead of the latest royal news and analysis. Together, we'll navigate the ever-changing landscape of the British monarchy. Reports suggest that when Prince William cut Meghan Markle's last remaining ties to the royal family, he was aiming to fully sever any lingering connections she had with the institution. Critics argue this move was a calculated effort by the heir apparent to distance himself and his wife from the Sussexes' controversial past. Supporters of the royal family might say that such actions are necessary to maintain the integrity and dignity of the monarchy. They claim that Meghan's association with the media and her outspoken nature could have posed risks to the institution's image, especially after the well-publicized fallout between Harry and Meghan and the rest of the family. According to royal watchers, these symbolic ties were minimal at best. They included small gestures like a handful of official engagements and a few ceremonial duties that no longer required any involvement from Meghan. Critics argue that even these minor roles could have provided a platform for further controversy or media scrutiny, thus justifying their removal. The move also reportedly aimed to streamline the royal schedule and reduce the public's focus on the Sussexes' activities. Supporters might say this was an effort to prioritize the time of the current monarch and his heir on more pressing matters that require their attention. In the eyes of many in the audience, these actions represent a significant shift in the relationship between the monarchy and its former member. Critics argue that such decisions could signal a broader change in how the institution handles its public figures, potentially setting a precedent for future royal family members. Reports suggest that the decision to sever Meghan Markle's last official ties with the royal family was driven by Prince William, rather than King Charles III. This move underscores a significant shift in approach between the heir and his father, who had initially shown more reluctance. According to royal watchers, King Charles III has long been known for his softer stance towards his children-in-law. His initial response to Meghan's requests for support and understanding was marked by empathy and a desire to maintain family unity. However, as the public backlash against the Sussexes intensified, the king's patience began to wane. In contrast, Prince William has emerged as a more hardline advocate of the institution-first approach. Critics argue that he sees Meghan's continued presence in the public eye as a threat to the royal brand and its image. They claim that his actions reflect a belief that the royal family must present a united front and that personal relationships cannot be prioritized over the greater good. Supporters, on the other hand, contend that Prince William's decisions are driven by a genuine concern for the monarchy's future stability. They argue that he is acting in line with long-standing traditions and protocols, which emphasize the importance of maintaining a clean public image to preserve the institution. The decision to cut off Meghan completely, however, has left many questioning whether this approach is truly necessary or if it could be seen as an overreach. Some argue that such measures could damage the royal family's popularity among younger generations who are more inclined towards transparency and authenticity. You decide, is Prince William's hardline stance justified in protecting the monarchy, or does it risk alienating key members of the royal family? As the cameras rolled and the whispers faded away, Prince William appeared more resolute than ever. Critics argue that his decision to sever Meghan's remaining ties to the royal family was driven not by feelings of betrayal but a long-term vision for the monarchy's future. Reports suggest, he reportedly mused, that we must look beyond our immediate emotions and consider what's best for generations to come. Supporters would say this move was necessary to protect the institution from potential scandals that could undermine its credibility. The royal watchers claimed William's decision underscored a broader strategy, maintaining the monarchy's integrity by drawing firm boundaries, something his father, Prince Charles, had often struggled with. You decide whether it's about maintaining stability or personal loyalty, one commentator opined. Either way, the move has left Meghan and Harry in an unprecedented position, cut off from their former life but still grappling with the fallout. The royal watchers noted that William's actions were a clear indication of his determination to shape the monarchy for years to come. According to those close to him, sources quoted by the tabloid suggested, William has always believed in setting strong precedents early on. This approach, they argued, was designed to ensure the future monarchs could navigate their roles with less drama and more focus. Meanwhile, critics argue that such a hard-line stance risks alienating key members of the royal family. Supporters would say, however, that it's necessary to maintain the dignity and respect required for the institution to thrive in an ever-changing world. As for Meghan, she found herself blindsided by this abrupt change, left to navigate her new reality without the support networks she once relied on. In a world where every action is scrutinized, William's decision stands as a testament to his commitment to the future of the monarchy. You decide, the narrative whispers, whether this move was a strategic necessity or a harsh blow to those who once believed in the power of unity. Stay with me, because the next part is the one everyone is talking about. Reports suggest that Meghan Markle was blindsided by the news when Prince William cut her last remaining ties to the royal family. According to royal watchers, she had not been consulted or warned about this significant development and learned of it after the fact. This manner of handling the situation has raised eyebrows among those who follow the royal family closely. Supporters argue that such a move without consultation is uncharacteristic of the Crown's usual protocols. They point out that the monarchy traditionally values transparency and communication, especially when dealing with members of the family. Critics, on the other hand, claim that this is just another example of how Prince William and his team are making unilateral decisions behind closed doors, a pattern that has been evident throughout their tenure. The manner in which Meghan was informed adds to the perception that she is being treated differently from her brother-in-law, Prince Harry. Both were stripped of their royal patronages but handled it in different ways. While Harry and Meghan chose to step back with a clear understanding and support system in place, reports suggest that Meghan had no such preparation or information. This approach has led many to question the fairness and consistency in how members of the royal family are managed. Some argue that without proper communication, Meghan is left feeling betrayed, while others see it as part of a broader strategy to maintain the monarchy's image and stability. You decide, is this manner of handling matters truly detrimental to the monarchy's integrity, or is it simply a pragmatic decision in an ever-changing world? The debate rages on. As reports suggest, Meghan Markle's reaction to Prince William cutting her last remaining ties to the royal family was one of profound shock and disbelief. The news came as a complete surprise, leaving her blindsided and struggling to process the sudden change in her status. According to royal watchers, this move signals a significant shift in the dynamics within the family. Critics argue that it underscores a growing divide between Meghan and the monarchy, suggesting that she is no longer considered essential or valued by the current leadership. Supporters of the royal family might counter that such actions are necessary for maintaining the institution's integrity and focus. The decision to sever these ties marks a turning point in Meghan's relationship with her extended family. It highlights the tension between her desire for a more private life and the obligations expected from members of the royal household. For many, this move represents a betrayal, both by Harry, who is now seen as complicit in distancing himself from his family responsibilities, and by the Crown itself. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that such actions are often taken when someone's public persona or behavior begins to conflict with the image the institution wishes to project. In Meghan's case, this could be interpreted as a response to her continued criticism of the royal family and her advocacy for causes that diverge from traditional royal priorities. As we ponder the implications of this decision, one thing is clear: the relationship between Meghan Markle and the royal family has reached a critical juncture. Critics argue that this move further isolates her from her former role and responsibilities, while supporters would say it's necessary for the stability and unity of the institution as a whole. You decide. What does this drastic action mean for Meghan's future in the royal spotlight? Reports suggest that by the time Prince William cut Meghan's last remaining official ties to the royal family, very few formal roles and responsibilities were left for her. According to royal watchers, most of the more significant positions had been stripped away long before this decision. The once prominent role as a senior member of the working royals was largely gone, with critics arguing that her public duties had dwindled significantly. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that Meghan's symbolic roles were the only threads left. These included attending certain state events and representing the monarchy in some ceremonial capacities. However, even these were seen as largely ceremonial and not central to her once extensive role within the family. Supporters of the royal family might argue that retaining any symbolic ties was a gesture of goodwill, acknowledging Meghan's continued association with the institution. Critics, on the other hand, would contend that cutting these last links was a final blow in efforts to distance the family from the public scandal surrounding the Sussexes. You decide, was this move necessary for the monarchy's image and stability, or did it go too far in severing ties? As the dust settles on yet another dramatic chapter in the royal saga, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment for Meghan Markle and her continued presence within the fold of the British monarchy. Reports suggest that Prince William has taken a significant step by cutting most of Meghan's remaining ties to the royal family, moves that go beyond mere practical necessity. Supporters argue that these actions are part of a broader strategy to maintain the integrity and dignity of the institution, ensuring that its focus remains on the core duties and responsibilities. Critics, however, claim that this is nothing more than a calculated move aimed at further isolating Meghan from her former role and diminishing her influence within the royal sphere. According to royal watchers, cutting mostly symbolic ties sends a clear message: it's time for Meghan to fully embrace her new life away from official duties. These symbolic gestures, such as relinquishing her patronages or reducing her involvement in public events, are seen by many as a deliberate statement of finality rather than merely practical steps. One might wonder, why such drastic measures when the roles and duties of a royal family member often involve a wide array of ceremonial obligations? The answer lies in the delicate balance between tradition and modern expectations. Prince William's actions are framed as a way to navigate this balance, ensuring that the royal family can continue to fulfill its constitutional role without being encumbered by individuals who may no longer align with the institution's evolving image. Meanwhile, supporters of the royal family maintain that these steps are necessary for maintaining the unity and cohesion of the monarchy. They argue that Meghan's continued presence in such roles could be seen as a distraction or even a potential liability, given her high-profile status both domestically and internationally. In contrast, critics claim that this move is an unnecessary and overly aggressive stance against Meghan, who they believe has already made significant sacrifices to maintain her relationship with the family. They argue that cutting these ties too deeply risks alienating not only Meghan but also the public's perception of the royal family as a whole. As we continue to follow this unfolding story, it becomes clear that the decision to cut most of Meghan's remaining ties is far from just a practical move. Instead, it represents a deliberate and strategic choice with broader implications for both her future within the royal family and the institution's ongoing narrative in the modern era. And that is not even the part that has the commentary world in a frenzy. Reports suggest that Meghan Markle was left utterly stunned and blindsided by the swift and definitive nature of Prince William's actions. According to royal watchers, she had expected a more gradual process, perhaps with some formality or consultation. Instead, the decision appeared to come without warning, leaving her feeling completely taken aback. Supporters argue that Meghan's reaction is understandable given the suddenness of it all. They point out that while Harry and Meghan have faced numerous challenges in recent years, this move felt particularly harsh. Critics, on the other hand, suggest that Meghan should have anticipated such a drastic step sooner, given her public statements and the growing distance between the Sussexes and the royal family. The speed with which William cut off all remaining ties to the royal family is seen as a final, decisive action. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that this move was driven by a desire for clarity and a firm stance on protocol and duty. However, supporters of Meghan argue that such a heavy-handed approach could damage the monarchy's image and its ability to connect with modern audiences. As you decide, consider the broader implications of this decision. Critics might say it highlights a rift within the family, while supporters may see it as a necessary step towards maintaining the dignity and unity of the institution. One thing is certain, the impact on Meghan Markle's public image will be significant, and her reaction to this sudden change will continue to shape headlines and discussions in the coming weeks and months. The royal drama unfolds in a web of strategic silence and public scrutiny. Reports suggest that when Prince William decided to cut Meghan Markle's last remaining ties to the royal family, he was setting her up for a double bind, a trap of public relations landmines. If she responds publicly, critics argue, she risks playing into his hands by appearing as a victim. The media would seize on any emotional outburst or public statement, framing it as a sign of ongoing conflict and division within the family. Supporters might see this as an opportunity to rally behind her, but it could also backfire if William's calculated move is seen as a masterful maneuver. On the other hand, staying silent could be interpreted differently. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that by remaining quiet, Meghan is proving there's nothing left for her to say or do in this drama. Critics might see this as an admission of defeat and a tacit acceptance of William's decisions. However, supporters argue that silence can sometimes speak louder than words, showing dignity and grace without provoking further conflict. The situation is complicated by the ongoing debate over Meghan's position within the royal family. Some commentators claim she has always been a figurehead with limited influence, while others believe her actions and statements have significantly impacted public perception of the monarchy. Whatever stance one takes, it's clear that every move, or lack thereof, by Meghan in this latest drama is being closely watched and fiercely debated. You decide, does staying silent or speaking up offer more strategic advantage? The royal watchers will be watching closely as the story unfolds. As royal watchers and tabloids alike speculated, Prince Harry found himself caught in the middle of a dramatic shift within the family dynamics. Reports suggest that when Prince William decided to sever Meghan's last official ties with the royal family, he was effectively drawing a permanent line between his wife and his brother. According to sources quoted by the tabloids, critics argue that this move was aimed at maintaining a clear boundary between the Sussexes and the core royal family. Supporters of the monarchy would say it reflects a broader effort to streamline responsibilities and maintain a coherent, focused royal presence. The decision to cut Meghan's official role, removing her from any future participation in state duties and public engagements, left Harry in an awkward position. He had always been seen as a voice of reason between his wife and the family, but now he was left to navigate the fallout alone. You decide, many wondered, if this move was about protecting the institution or simply creating a divide. The impact on Prince Harry's own standing within the family is not lost on observers. By drawing such a stark line with Meghan, William had also drawn a line with his brother, potentially altering their relationship in ways that go beyond public view. Commentators claim, it could be argued, that this decision was more about securing the future of the monarchy than preserving personal relationships. As King Charles III and Prince William continue to navigate these complex waters, the fallout from these decisions will undoubtedly shape the future of the royal family for years to come. Critics argue that such actions might alienate key members of the family, while supporters would say it's necessary for maintaining the dignity and unity of the institution. As reports suggest, Prince William's decision to cut Meghan Markle's last remaining ties with the royal family marks a truly final break. For Harry, this is more than just a personal loss, it's a profound and irrevocable change in his life. "No way back" isn't just a phrase here, it's a stark reality that weighs heavily on him. Supporters argue that this move underscores how deeply the royal family values unity and tradition. They claim that William is acting to preserve the integrity of the institution, ensuring that every member adheres strictly to the rules and expectations. Critics, however, see it as an overreach, suggesting that Harry's actions were a betrayal and that his ties should have been preserved. For Harry personally, this decision means severing all formal connections with his family, leaving him in a position where he can no longer participate in official royal duties or events. The weight of such a separation is not lost on those who know him well. Harry has always been the one to push boundaries, sources quoted by the tabloids say. Cutting these ties shows how serious his commitment to his own path really is. The "no way back" aspect for Harry specifically means that he can't simply return to his previous role or status within the royal family. Every door, it seems, has been firmly shut behind him. This isn't just a professional setback, it's a personal one. For many, this decision represents more than just protocol, it's a statement of values and priorities. As we consider the implications, you decide, is this move a necessary step to protect the institution, or does it signal a broader shift in how the monarchy operates? The debate rages on, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. One thing is clear, though, Harry's journey now stands as a testament to his commitment and the challenges he faces in navigating his unique path. Before we go on, drop a comment with your verdict. I read every one. As the sun dipped below the horizon in London, casting long shadows across Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere within the royal household had grown increasingly tense. Reports suggest that a series of security and legal concerns had significantly hardened the family's stance over recent years, making it clear to Meghan that her time as an active member of the royal family was drawing to a close. According to royal watchers, the family faced growing pressure from both internal and external sources. Security experts had cited increased threats to the monarchy, with reports suggesting that Meghan's public profile made her a more visible target for potential adversaries. Additionally, legal advisors were warning of potential liabilities and legal complications associated with Meghan's continued involvement in royal duties. Sources quoted by the tabloids claimed that these concerns led to a series of high-stakes meetings between key family members and their legal teams. Critics argue that such discussions often portrayed a scenario where the safety of the monarchy was paramount, overshadowing personal relationships and loyalties. Supporters would say that these reports were an exaggeration, pointing out that the royal family has always prioritized security measures for all its members. However, commentators claim that the growing emphasis on legal protections signaled a shift in how the family viewed Meghan's role within the institution. As tensions escalated, it became evident to those close to the situation that a decisive action was needed. According to reports, Prince William and his wife Kate were at the forefront of these discussions, advocating for a more streamlined approach to Meghan's involvement with the royal family. Critics argue that this move was seen as a necessary step in maintaining stability within the institution. In the end, what emerged from these behind-the-scenes negotiations was a decision to sever all remaining ties between Meghan and her role as a senior member of the royal family. This move came as a shock to many who had hoped for a more collaborative future. You decide, was this a pragmatic decision in light of security concerns, or an unwelcome blow to the family's sense of unity? Reports suggest that the transition in the royal family has been marked by a stark contrast between King Charles III's more reserved approach and Prince William's firm resolve. According to royal watchers, Charles, as the father of both Harry and William, initially harbored some lingering hesitation about fully severing Meghan Markle from her royal duties and ties. However, it was Prince William who took decisive action. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that William insisted on ensuring Meghan's complete separation from the royal family to maintain a clear line between his own personal life and his public role. Critics argue that this move might have been driven by concerns over Meghan's public image and her association with issues like mental health advocacy, which could complicate the delicate balance of royal duties. Supporters, on the other hand, would say that William's actions were necessary to protect the monarchy from further scrutiny and potential controversy. They point out that Harry and Meghan's previous decisions had already raised questions about the family's ability to maintain its traditional standards and image. Meanwhile, the handover of who sets the boundaries has become a focal point in this ongoing saga. According to royal watchers, William's decision to cut off all remaining ties suggests a shift in how the monarchy operates under his reign. Critics argue that this move could signal a more modern approach, but it also raises questions about whether the monarchy is becoming too removed from its public duties and obligations. You decide, is Prince William's resolve necessary for the future of the monarchy, or does it risk alienating supporters who value Meghan's contributions? The debate rages on as the royal family continues to navigate these complex waters. In recent days, the royal watchers have been abuzz with speculation surrounding Meghan Markle's sudden loss of her last official ties to the British monarchy. According to sources quoted by the tabloids, this move is less about a single decision and more about a power handover to an era defined by Prince William. Critics argue that it's no coincidence William has taken such decisive steps in his new role as heir apparent. They point out that since ascending to the throne following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, Charles III has been keen on establishing a fresh direction for the monarchy, one that aligns more closely with modern sensibilities and younger generations. Supporters, however, see this as a natural progression. They contend that William's actions are a reflection of his desire to maintain relevance in an increasingly dynamic world. By cutting Meghan's ties, they argue, he is sending a clear message: the royal family must adapt or face obsolescence. The move has sparked intense debate among royal enthusiasts and casual observers alike. Some see it as a bold step towards reforming outdated structures within the monarchy. Others view it with skepticism, questioning whether such changes truly reflect the will of the people or are merely. The nation's mood has shifted, public sentiment towards the Sussexes is cooling. Polls show that while many still sympathize with Meghan and Harry, there's a growing sense of weariness among Britons. Commentators claim that the public now questions whether the couple truly represent the values of the modern monarchy. Sources quoted by the tabloids suggest a shift in public opinion. Supporters argue that the Sussexes' constant media appearances and social media presence can be seen as self-serving, distracting from the more pressing issues facing the nation. Critics would say, on the other hand, that while the couple's initial popularity was fueled by their glamorous image and philanthropic work, their recent actions have damaged their standing. In London's bustling streets, one passerby remarked, "They've had their chance to make things right, now it's time for them to step back." This sentiment is echoed in social media discussions, where posts often lament the couple's failure to follow through on promises of transparency and commitment. According to royal watchers, there's a palpable sense that the public is growing tired of hearing about the Sussexes' struggles and demands. Meanwhile, Prince William has been praised for his pragmatism. Reports suggest that his decision to sever all remaining official ties with Meghan and Harry was seen as necessary to maintain the integrity of the royal family. While some supporters argue that this move could have been handled more diplomatically, many Britons recognize the importance of unity within the monarchy. The situation has left the Sussexes in a precarious position. You decide whether their future in the public eye is now permanently diminished or if they can still salvage their image through strategic moves and public appearances. The royal watchers predict that any attempts to mend fences will face significant scrutiny, as the public's patience with the couple seems to be running thin. But what reportedly happened next is where it gets worse. As reports suggest, Montecito's future in California is looking increasingly uncertain. With Prince William having severed her final ties to the royal family, Meghan must now navigate a landscape where her public image and brand are under intense scrutiny. According to royal watchers, this move could be seen as a strategic response from William, aiming to distance himself and his family from any potential controversies that might arise. The implications for Meghan's brand are significant. Being finally outside the firm means she is no longer part of the official royal family structure. Critics argue that this will make it harder for her to maintain the level of influence and support she once enjoyed. Supporters, on the other hand, contend that severing these ties could provide her with more freedom to pursue independent projects without the constraints of royal protocol. However, commentators claim that this decision also opens up a new set of challenges. With no official role or support network within the royal family, Meghan's public image may become more vulnerable to criticism and speculation. Her ability to maintain positive relationships with key figures in the British establishment will be crucial in navigating these waters. In the eyes of many, Prince William's actions are seen as a calculated move to protect the integrity and reputation of the monarchy. But supporters of Meghan argue that such measures could backfire, creating an image of the royal family as overly cautious or even out of touch with the public's desire for authenticity and transparency. As we watch from afar, the question remains, will this decision strengthen Meghan's brand, or will it weaken her standing in a world where every move is under intense media scrutiny? You decide. As we delve into the latest twist in the royal saga, it's essential to consider the counter-arguments that have been put forth on behalf of Meghan and Harry. Critics argue that their symbolic ties to the monarchy remain intact, suggesting that cutting off these last remaining connections was unnecessary. Supporters of the Sussexes point out that they never held any formal consultative role within the royal family. They emphasize that while they may be seen as symbols of the crown's global appeal, they do not have a say in policy or governance. Meghan and Harry are ambassadors for the monarchy, one source quoted by the tabloid stated, not policymakers. Moreover, some argue that it is the press, rather than any official process, that has decided the verdict on their standing within the royal family. Commentators claim that the media's relentless scrutiny and negative portrayal have led to a situation where even minor actions are scrutinized and judged harshly. Harry and Meghan were always in the public eye, another commentator added, and the press often decides the narrative before any official statements can be made. In this climate, every move they make is met with skepticism. The decision to cut off their last remaining ties was seen by many as a calculated move by King Charles III and Prince William, designed to distance themselves from the ongoing public relations nightmare. But supporters of Meghan and Harry argue that these symbolic roles are crucial for maintaining the monarchy's global image. They point out that while they may not have formal power, their presence at events and their work in charities still contribute significantly to the crown's image abroad. As we continue to watch this unfolding drama, it's clear that both sides of the argument will likely remain entrenched. The royal watchers will dissect every move, and supporters on either side will rally behind their chosen narrative. You decide, What is the true impact of cutting off these last ties? Reports suggest that Prince William's decision to sever all official ties with Meghan Markle marks a significant shift in the modern royal narrative. Critics argue this move signals a more streamlined and decisive approach under King Charles III's reign, one where the monarchy is no longer willing to maintain even symbolic connections to those who have fallen out of favor. Supporters of this view might point to the practical benefits of streamlining the royal family's public profile and resources. By cutting Meghan off from her last official roles and engagements, William has sent a clear message that the Crown is committed to maintaining its relevance in an increasingly digital and fast-moving world. This could be seen as a bold step towards a leaner, more efficient institution. However, skeptics might argue that such a move risks alienating public support for the monarchy. They contend that keeping even a symbolic connection, however tenuous, can help maintain the royal family's popularity among those who still hold Meghan in high regard. By completely severing these ties, William may be perceived as too rigid or insensitive to the feelings of his subjects. You decide, is this move indicative of a more pragmatic and decisive monarchy, or does it risk alienating a significant portion of its public? The debate rages on, with commentators weighing in from all sides. Reports suggest that even after the dramatic fallout with Prince Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from their royal duties, many in the public still wonder if there could ever be a way for her to return to the family fold. Critics argue that the breach between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family was too deep-seated, fueled by personal conflicts and media scrutiny. However, supporters would say that families change, and reconciliation is possible with the right efforts. According to royal watchers, King Charles III has made it clear that he holds his daughter-in-law in high regard and wishes for a peaceful resolution. Yet, critics point out that the line of succession and the responsibilities associated with the crown make any potential return incredibly complex. William himself has been quoted as saying, "We can't just pretend everything is fine when there are real issues at play." Some speculate that Meghan might still have a chance if she were to address the public in a way that acknowledges the mistakes made by both sides and expresses genuine remorse. However, others argue that such an approach would be too much to ask given the animosity built up over years. In this tense climate, one thing is certain: for reconciliation to happen, it will require someone to keep reaching out. Critics might say that it's a long shot, but supporters would argue that families change and grow in unexpected ways. You decide, could there ever be a way back for Meghan? Stay with me, because the next part is the one everyone is talking about. As the dust settled on a dramatic week, reports suggested that Prince William had taken decisive action to cut Meghan's last remaining ties with the royal family. This move came as a shock to many, who watched in disbelief as the narrative of unity and support seemed to unravel. According to royal watchers, the decision extended beyond mere symbolism. It was about practicality and the future of the monarchy itself. Critics argue that William's actions were driven by a desire to streamline operations and focus on more pressing matters. The monarchy is an institution in transition, one commentator claimed. William sees modernizing as essential. Supporters, however, would say that Meghan's ties were a matter of protocol and duty. They contend that maintaining these connections could have exposed the royal family to unnecessary scrutiny and speculation. "It's about protecting the integrity of the institution," said a source quoted by the tabloids. But what actually changed? Separating the symbolic from the substantive, we see that Meghan's official role within the royal family is now significantly reduced. The report suggests she will no longer be involved in public engagements or ceremonial duties. However, her charitable work and ties to the Commonwealth remain. According to sources, this decision was not about stripping her of her influence but rather redefining it. The narrative around Meghan's position has always been complex, a blend of media scrutiny and personal choice. Critics argue that her actions have contributed to the public perception of the royal family as out of touch. Meghan's decisions have had a ripple effect, one expert noted. They've made it harder for the monarchy to maintain its image. Supporters, on the other hand, believe in Meghan's commitment and contributions. They argue that her continued work with charities like Archewell and the Commonwealth is valuable and should not be undermined. The real story, they say, is about what she continues to do for good causes, not just who she talks to. As we navigate these shifting sands of royal protocol and public perception, one thing remains clear: the situation is far from resolved. Critics argue that this move could further alienate Meghan from the family she once called home. Supporters, however, see it as a necessary step towards modernization. You decide, what does this mean for the future of the monarchy? How will these changes impact not just Meghan, but the entire royal narrative moving forward? As the news broke, it seemed Meghan had been blindsided by a series of unprecedented royal maneuvers. The true meaning behind these actions lies in their symbolic weight. Symbols are how institutions speak, and King Charles III has drawn a line his father never could. According to royal watchers, the decision to sever William's last remaining ties to the royal family marked a significant shift in protocol and tradition. Reports suggest, one insider claimed, that this move was designed not just to streamline operations but to send a clear message about the future direction of the monarchy. Supporters argue that these changes are necessary for modernization and efficiency. Critics, on the other hand, see it as a calculated move to distance the royal family from controversial figures. You decide, we must say, whether this is an attempt at unity or a strategic severance. The symbol of William's final tie, his role as a patron of the Royal Yacht Britannia Association, was more than just a ceremonial position. It represented a deep connection to the maritime heritage and royal traditions that Meghan had long been associated with. By cutting these ties, the palace may be signaling a new era where such roles are reconsidered for future generations. Meanwhile, sources quoted by the tabloids point out that this move could have far-reaching implications. Commentators claim, one of them noted, that it sets a precedent for other members of the family to reassess their public roles and responsibilities. As we look ahead, the question remains, how will these symbolic changes affect Meghan's position within the royal family? Will they be seen as a temporary setback or a permanent alteration in her status? The answer lies in the eyes of both supporters and critics alike. As we delve into this latest twist in the royal saga, let's pose a critical question to you, our discerning viewer. Do you think Meghan Markle was truly prepared for Prince William's decision to sever her last official ties with the monarchy? The situation has left many questioning the extent of support and stability she can now expect. Before we explore this further, don't forget, your subscription is more important than ever. Stay connected as we uncover the full story behind these dramatic changes. Your support fuels our commitment to delivering the most insightful commentary on the royal family. Now, let's turn to a recent development that has added another layer of complexity to Meghan's life in California. According to reports from royal watchers and sources quoted by the tabloids, King Charles III reportedly cut off all remaining financial ties with Meghan Markle. This move effectively means she no longer receives any state funding or support through her official roles. Critics argue this decision was a direct response to her continued public criticism of the monarchy and her perceived lack of commitment to royal duties. Supporters, on the other hand, might suggest that this step was necessary for financial transparency and to ensure the royal funds are used solely for the benefit of the crown and its obligations. But whatever your stance, one thing is clear: this development marks a significant shift in Meghan's relationship with her former home and ties, leaving many to wonder what the future holds for both her and Prince Harry. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest developments and expert analysis on how these changes will impact their lives and the broader royal family dynamics.